All right, C.G. Jung, Psychology and Religion, West and East, Volume 11 of the Collected Works. This is Chapter 2, and a psychological approach to the dogma of the Trinity. This is pre-Christian parallels. I am going to read until 2, Egypt. 1, Babylonia. In proposing to approach the central symbol of Christianity, the Trinity from the psychological point of view, I realize that I am trespassing on territory that must seem very far removed from psychology. Everything to do with religion, everything it is and asserts, touches the human soul so closely that psychology least of all can afford to overlook it. A conception like the Trinity pertains so much to the realm of theology that the only one of the profane sciences to pay any attention to it nowadays is history. Indeed, most people have ceased even to think about dogma, especially about a concept as hard to visualize as the Trinity. Even among professing Christians, there are very few who think seriously about the Trinity as a matter of dogma, and will consider it a possible subject for reflection, not to mention the educated public. A recent exception is George Copeland's very important book, Diagnosis de Christendoms, which unfortunately soon found its way onto the index despite the episcopal placet for all those who are seriously concerned to understand dogmatic ideas. This book of Copeland's is a perfect example of thinking which has fallen under the spell of Trinitarian symbolism. Triads of gods appear very early at a primitive level. The archaic triads in the religious of antiquity and of the East are too numerous to be mentioned here. Arrangement in triads is an archetype in the history of religion, which in all probability form the biases of the Christian Trinity. Often these triads do not consist of 3 different deities, independent of one another. Instead, there is a distinct tendency for certain family relationships to arise within the triads. I would mention as an example the Babylonian triads, of which the most important is Anu, Bel, and A. A, personifying knowledge, is a factor of Bel, Lord, who personifies practical activity. A secondary, rather later triad is one made up of Sin, moon, Shamash, sun, and Adad, storm. Here, Adad is the son of the supreme god Anu. Under Nebuchadnezzar, Adad was the lord of heaven and earth. The suggestion of a father-son relationship comes out more clearly at the time of Hammurabi Marduk. The son of E was entrusted with Bel's power and thrust him into the background. E was a loving, proud father who willingly transferred his power and rights to his son. Marduk was originally a sun god with the cognomen Lord Bel. He was a mediator between his father E and mankind. Ea, declared that he knew nothing that his son did not know. Marduk, as his fight with Tiamat shows, is a redeemer. He is a compassionate one who loves to awaken the dead. The great-eared who hears the pleadings of men. He is a helper and healer, a true savior. This teaching about a redeemer flourished in Babylonian soil all through the Christian era, and goes on living today in the religion of the Mandeans, who still exist in Mesopotamia, especially in the Redeemer figure Manda di Haya or Habilel Ziwa. Among the Mandians, he appears also a light bringer and at the same time as a world creator, just as the Babylonian epic Marduk fashions the universe out of Tiamat. So Mami, the original man, makes heaven and earth from the skin, bones, and excrement of the children of darkness. The all-around influence which the myth of Marduk had on the religious ideas of the Israelites is surprising. It appears that Hammurabi worshipped only a dyad, Anu and Bel, but as a divine ruler himself, he associated himself with them as a proclaimer of Anu and Bel, and that this at a time when the worship of Marduk was nearing its height. Hammurabi felt himself the god of a new aeon, the aeon of Aries, which was the then beginning, and the suspicion is probably justified that tacit recognition was given to the triad Anu, Bel, Hammurabi. The fact that there is a secondary triad, Sin Shamash Ishtar, is indicative of another intra-triadic relationship. Ishtar appears here in the place of Adad, the storm god. She is the mother of the gods, and at the same time the daughter of Anu as well as of Sin. An invocation of the ancient triads soon takes on purely formal character. The triads prove to be more a theological tenet than a living force. They represent, in fact, the earliest beginnings of theology. Anu is the Lord of heaven. Bel is the Lord of the lower realm, earth. And E, too, is the god of an underworld. But in his case, it is the watery deep. The knowledge that E personifies comes from the depths of the waters. According to Babylonian legend, E created Adushunamir, the creator of light, who was the messenger of the gods on Ishtar's journey to hell. The name means his light or rising shines. Jeremiah connects him with Gilgamesh, the hero who was more than half a god, the messenger of the gods, who usually called Guru, Sumerian, Gibel, the god of fire. As such, he has an ethical aspect, for with his purifying fire he destroys evil. He too is the son of E, but on the other hand, he is also described as the son of Anu. In this connection, it is worth mentioning that Marduk as well as dual nature, since in one hymn he is called Mar Mumi, son of chaos. In the same hymn, his consort Sarpenitu is invoked along with E's wife, the mother of Marduk, as the silver shining one. This is probably a reference to Venus, the Feminia Albia in alchemy. The albedo changes into moon, which is Babylonia, was still masculine. Marduk's companions were 4 dogs. Here the number 4 may signify totality, just as it does in the case of 4 sons of Horus. The 4 seraphim in the vision of Ezekiel, and the 4 symbols of the evangelists, consisting of 3 animals and 1 angel.